We're starting off today getting a load around of vegetables for our first day at the Wilkes-Barre Farmers Market. We have some cabbage, kohlrabi. Here we have tomatoes. And then in the back we have cucumbers, zucchini, beans, onions, red beets, and a couple eggplant down in here. We already had some kohlrabi on our truck, but Dad and I came back out here now to grab a couple more, just because we sell a lot of kohlrabi and collard greens in Wilkes-Barre. And so we're gonna get probably around 2 more crates of these. And if you don't know what kohlrabi is, it kind of tastes like between a cabbage and a turnip. And what most people do is just slice it thin and eat it raw with some salt, or you can dice it up, put it in soups and stews. Next up is the collard greens. I don't really know how to cook them, so I can't really explain them too much, but I do know that they are very popular, and we almost sell more collard greens than we do kohlrabi. Mom's working on kale. Usually put about 6 leaves in a bunch. Kind of tuck it in there like collard greens. The cool thing about the kale is we can keep cutting off the lower leaves, and the tops will just keep growing taller and producing more. After kale was done, Mom and Dad moved into harvesting some of our first basil of the season. We don't do a lot with basil as far as like growing a lot or harvesting a lot, but we always grow some, more just for ourselves, and if we have extra then we take it to market. And how they're doing it is just cutting off a couple different stems and then bunching it with like 3 or 4 in each bundle.
Cut them too short, so they branch out again.
I should be taking some home and drying.
Should have scissors for that.
Now we're gonna get sweet corn.
I'd like to get the ones but we're not gonna get there.
Mom's here in the high tunnel working on tomatoes. These are going to be for the Scranton Farmers Market tomorrow and our own farm market here at home. We're still having some of that issue with them not ripening quite properly with just all the heat that we've been having. The ones down under though are a lot nicer. You can see how nice and dark red. It's just the ones on top that are a little bit funky. Like this tomato here is pretty beautiful. It's a really nice one. We always take the stems off just so they don't poke the next tomato under it. Mom's working on her own box. We've probably picked around 50 boxes out of here so far, and that's not even a fraction of them. They're still loaded. And there's even a lot of smaller ones still coming on. We just got to keep pushing the water to them. We haven't had any rain now in a while, which doesn't really matter for in here because we have the drip lines underneath that we can pump it through. But out in the field, I think we're going to start setting up the overhead irrigation, because if not, we're going to have stuff starting to die. Sometimes you really got to get down under. They hide in there.
Beautiful.
So Dad headed off to market. Like I said again, he's going to the Wilkes-Barre Farmers Market on the square. The guys are out in the field right now working on beans and peas. I just got back over here to the shed with a load of tomatoes that Mom got out of the high tunnel. Here's some green. Over there's the red. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Here is 2 more, 13. And I think she's getting like 3 more. So we should have around like 15 or 16 boxes altogether, which should be plenty for the Scranton Farmers Market tomorrow. I just got a phone call from my dad. He's at market right now. And he called and asked where our one worker was that was supposed to be there, because I made plans with him to show up today at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and he never did. And so now my mom had to leave from picking tomatoes to head straight up there to help him. My jobs have changed because I was gonna start getting stuff ready to irrigate, and now I gotta go out to the market and get that set up because that was gonna be her job. And so now everything's kind of crazy. Luckily the guys know what they're doing out there, and I'm gonna try and get this done as fast as possible. I just got all the tomatoes loaded onto this cart. It's extremely heavy. Just kind of gonna push this out of the way. They'll be for tomorrow, and head out to the farm market. I just got my load around, some watermelon, cantaloupe, yellow and white peaches, sweet corn, pickles. Under there is onions and zucchini. I just got out here to the market and got everything unloaded and set up. Looks great inside. I don't like to video inside the market when people are in there because sometimes it makes them feel uncomfortable. And we're usually pretty busy this time of year, so I don't get a lot of time to video in there unless it's very early or pretty late. But I wanted to come out and check out the zinnias. The one lady who works for us said that these are beautiful. She was cutting some. I mean, look how huge they are. They're almost the size of my hand, and I don't really have small hands. Mom's got the nice signs out here now, just saying cut flowers. You can get 10 for 5. Come out and pick your own. The guys are right there picking peas, and behind them is just a deer in the middle of the field with all of our new balloons and ribbons to scare the crows away. And we have a deer just chilling out there eating our nice little cantaloupe and watermelon, and maybe even the vines. I don't really know. Actually, it's a buck. You can see the horns, I'm pretty sure. So now I gotta go out and scare him away. I'm coming out here now to check on him. We usually don't have a lot of deer, especially not this time of the day. Like right before dark is a little bit normal, but there's only one little patch of woods and then there's nothing. So it's weird that he's even out here. Look at him. It is a buck. Oh, I think Daisy just seen him because now she's taken off. Where'd he go? Oh, there he is. He's right behind the silo. Yeah, there you can see his horns. Absolute giant. Just kidding, that is not a giant. But he's not even afraid. Watch this. Go get him. Get him. Get him, Lil. Go get him. Come on. Get him. Go get him. Get him, Lil. Good girl. Come on, Lil. Come on. Good girls. Come on. Between the crows and the deer, we can't win with these cantaloupe and watermelon. Dad just got these poles out, which I tried putting in like a video or 2 ago. And so that's gonna hopefully keep the crows out, but apparently it's not keeping the deer away. And so, trying to look and see if you can see any damage, but I don't see any yet. Like the cantaloupe really haven't even formed yet. That's a baby little tiny one right there. And so that's kind of a good thing, meaning that they're not actually hurting the fruit as of now, but I know they are to the watermelon. Like, look right over here. That watermelon's actually getting pretty big, but this is what the crows are doing. Just annihilating them. Getting in there for the moisture, not even because they're even close to ready. I don't see a lot of other damage, which is good. It's real good. Our second planting of the cantaloupe and watermelon are doing great. They're all starting to vine out now. This is the watermelon, and over here is the cantaloupe. The guys got 3 more baskets of pickles picked, 1 green bean and 2 yellow beans. I'm gonna run these through the washer quick so I can get everything into the cooler. This is my first time using the washer after it's been fixed. So I'm pretty excited. Try and size them a little bit. So if they're all the large ones in one, mediums in another, and smalls in the last box. I'll do 3 different ones. They don't have to be perfect. We're gonna sort them again at market, but I try and do a little bit. It was weeks and weeks ago that me, Sammy, and the guys came through here and laid irrigation pipe. Then we got rain and didn't have to use it, so we actually picked some of it back up, but left this line right out through here, which is all the way through the peppers. But now, thank God we didn't pick this up because we gotta water again. And so we just broke this pipe apart right here because we had to be able to drive up through this little waterway here. But now we're gonna hopefully run the water later on, and I'm gonna put it back together. I should actually check for mice. Sometimes when it sits out, mice go through it and make nests, but it's been so hot, if they would have tried to build a nest, it would have got 150 degrees in there and they would have died anyway. Instead of overhead irrigating all of our tomatoes, we laid drip line underneath all the plastic. And so this will hopefully save us a lot of water as long as everything works out the way it should, doing this underneath the ground. And so basically what's gonna happen is we're gonna be running pipe on top of the ground all the way till it hits this regulator here. Then it's gonna come out one way in each direction, and we're gonna water probably these upper 6 rows with this line and these lower 4 rows with this line. Once we get the water running, then this thing will regulate the pressure so we don't get too much pressure in the field and blow these little drip lines apart, because that would ruin the whole line. So this, for some reason, has a hose clamp already on it, which is not needed. So that's gonna come off. This has an end cap in it, which obviously that can't be on there, so that's gonna have to come off. And a lot of times these things are miserable to come out of there. So now this will go onto here like so, and then we'll put that hose clamp back over top of that. I'm gonna try and make this work without getting out more fittings and poking more holes in this header line than I need to. So right here is my drip line coming out of the tomatoes. I'm gonna try and cut that. Actually, it's not bad. I'm just gonna use it the way it is. So what I'll do is, this has a collar on it, which tightens down on the drip tape. So I'll make sure the drip tape is nice and clean. Make sure this is working freely, which I think it is. I'll slip this on there, just like that. Make sure it's on there all the way. And then I'll start to tighten this down. Just like that. And then turn it a little more. And there it is. Then I'll open that up and it's on and ready to water. That's 1 down, 11 more to go. Shouldn't take too long. Now for this row, there is no just making it work, moving up or down, because I already used that fitting and the next one is way up here. So I will have to poke my own hole to make this one work. I got this, which pokes the hole perfectly in the plastic. Just kind of twist and push. There it is. Now I'll take my fitting. They're nice when they're new. And that'll push right in there, just like that. Tighten that collar down. That way it's airtight. And now, just like before, I'll trim to make this work out, hopefully, just right. And there it is. Out here at the other end, the drip tape comes back out of the plastic, and then I just put a cap on it. That way, obviously, the water can then build pressure. We're just about ready. I got a couple things to tidy up, and then we can start running. It's going on 6 o'clock. My mom and dad and Pap got back from market. I've just about got the tomatoes ready to go. Everything always takes longer than planned, especially when I haven't done this in a while. But got the sand filters over here, got the drain line ready to go. I always like to back flush them before we start, just in case there's any kind of like garbage in the sand filters. And so I think I'm ready. The only thing I got to do yet is put my pressure gauges in each side. That way I know what kind of PSI we're running through the field. Now that it's getting later in the day, I came down here to the irrigation pump. We're gonna start pumping water on our cole crops, pickles, and cantaloupe and watermelon. So this is the setup right here. The line comes down into the pond. Right there where that jug is where our suction line is. We have it floating, but underneath the water, that way it's not sucking all the debris off the bottom. So first I've got to operate this to bring the water up through, which is called priming it. Then I can start my pump and get it flowing to the field. All our lines are underground going to the field, and this is where they go underground at. This one goes underground and goes up there and then up to the house. And then this other one right there goes down below the woods, down towards that field. And so we only need the upper one. That's where we're only hooked up to this guy right here. And now we can start. So I'm just getting pressure to the field here now. It's got to go all the way out to the woods, so it's going to take a little while. So there's really nothing I can do until that all pressurizes, and then I can juice it up. I am now completely done, ready to go. We've actually never done this before. We are watering the overhead irrigation, if you can see that right there. It's not all the way juiced up yet, but it's just getting pressurized. And then as that is going, we are going to be underground dripping the tomatoes. So it's going to be a little bit tricky. We're going to see what happens here in a little bit. Once that builds pressure all the way, then we'll start this one up, because this one isn't even started yet, but it will be here in a couple minutes. I'm going to back flush it first. So now we're putting pressure to the drip. He's releasing it slowly. All right, I'm ready. I have the main line going out to the field shut off, and I'm back flushing this filter, I think. I'm back flushing one of them. And then the water should come out right here. It's just all air right now. There, now that water's coming out the breather holes, we have water filled up throughout both tanks. You can see how it's back flushing right there. So I'll shut these up. Done. It's the same to this guy. And then I will I'll do that. Now back flush this guy. Now we can run it to the field. Here it goes. Got a little bit of leakage there. Everything's up and running. Seems to be going really well. The drip is doing great, doing exactly what we want. The PSI going throughout the field for both of them is around like 16, 17. And we're gonna do this now for like 3 or 4 hours. And hopefully nothing goes wrong. I come out here to the other end just to check how my end caps are doing. That one's real good. So that means there is no problems throughout that line. This one's real good. This one's real good. This one's real good. Good. Not bad.